This week on Channel 8 News, we cover a taste of Maryville, Constitution Day, Green Dot certification, survival with SISTA, and more. Channel 8 News starts right now. Welcome back to Channel 8 News. I'm Anastasia Tuttle.
And I'm Alex Sanchez.
Last Tuesday evening, Mary Grace Rice had the opportunity to attend a panel called Constitution Day, Free Speech at What Cost? Mary Grace?
On Tuesday, Northwest held a panel for Constitution Day entitled Free Speech at What Cost? The panel discussed free speech and the cost of free speech as it relates to events like the protests in Charlottesville. Hannah Sears, political science major and former student senate president, explained in greater detail what the panel was about.
The event was put on by Professor Dr. Smith for Constitution Day. The purpose of the event, or the content area of the event, was the cost of free speech. So how do we consider free speech in the aftermath of events like Ferguson and the protests at Berkeley and the riots in Charlottesville?
Each panelist wanted to accomplish something with the panel. Hannah wanted to help students understand the responsibility when it comes to free speech.
There is an inherent benefit to free speech because when people feel unrestricted to freely express their thoughts and beliefs and values, there's a lot to be gained from that experience. I know when I'm in positions where I'm sharing how I feel about something in either a large group setting or a small group setting, it facilitates an exchange with someone about how they feel about certain things and vice versa. That is, to me, the essence of what it means to come to college, is to remove yourself from the community that you were born and raised in and put yourself in an unfamiliar community and get to learn and exchange ideas with other people.
Dr. Mallett shared his definition of free speech.
To me, free speech is the ability to openly and freely express your thoughts, to be able to share your opinions on any topic that is deemed discussable without fear or repercussion.
The power of free speech is exercised in many ways. Hannah gave her opinion on the proper ways to exercise this right.
The right way to engage in free speech is with open-mindedness and with tolerance, and most of all with curiosity. I think when people are curious to understand what someone believes, I think that is the right way, is when you're curious. I think the wrong way is when you abuse that right. No one's here to contest your right to protest or to riot, unless there's an exception if it's violent.
Dr. Mallett's main reason for being on the panel was to explain the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office and to continue to make the environment at Northwest more inclusive.
We're trying to create an inclusive environment, not a diverse environment, but an inclusive environment. And here's what an inclusive environment entails, and not just with hate speech as relates to race, but hate speech as relates to religion, sexual orientation, disabilities and things like that. So I wanted us to start this shift to become more inclusive.
For those curious about the best way to exercise free speech, Dr. Mallett shared his ideas.
I think the best route is to continue delivering the message. Don't ever stop delivering your message of the message that you're trying to convey. I think what happens is you see so much negative, and you hear very little good, that people the good just stop because they think they're not accomplishing anything.
Finally, Dr. Mallett gave us insight on disagreements and explained how true change happens.
That's how true change is going to happen. I got to be willing to listen to Chief's side, and I got to be willing to listen to Dr. Smith's side, I have to be willing to listen to Hannah's side. So I think you're able to see that across the board tonight. Chief is legally minded as relates to the police instruction. Dr. Smith is legally minded as relates to the legal piece of it and being a lawyer. Whereas Hannah was more relatable to the students, and me, as I said earlier, I was just here to appeal on emotion. My thing was to get you to the point where you were asking questions about race and ethnicity. I wasn't going to come in and strictly talk about the First Amendment, but my thought was to get you to start talking about race. And as you can see, all of a sudden, everybody started asking questions about race. And most importantly, the biggest thing you saw is that the white students in here, they felt comfortable asking the questions about race. Can't beat that. Can't beat it.
Northwest is planning to schedule other panels throughout the school year, so keep an eye on the university calendar. This has been Mary Grace Rice reporting for KNWT Channel 8.
Thanks, Mary Grace.
Last Wednesday evening, Audrey Chappelle was able to attend the Green Dot Bystander Certification course about violence prevention. Audrey?
Northwest Missouri State held its first Green Dot Bystander Certification training of the school year last Wednesday. Green Dot is a program that educates people about sexual assault and violence. The 5-hour-long class discussed risky scenarios in which one would need to intervene as a bystander. The class specifically dealt with how to prevent stalking, domestic violence, and sexual violence. Danielle Kuntz, the Green Dot coordinator, says the training will help people apply themselves to realistic scenarios.
The idea isn't really to give everyone like a here's what you need to do approach. It's more to allow people to think about their own lives, their own personalities, their skills, their strengths, their weaknesses, and then figure out, okay, from that, what are realistic options for me to intervene? Because the way that I intervene is not the same as you or another student on this campus, another faculty or staff member. It's all going to be different.
Danielle hopes to expand the program through social media to make students more aware of what they can do to prevent violence. She wants students to know they can intervene in any risky situation, even just by calling the police. The students who attended the training participated in fake scenarios where they decided how to intervene and prevent a violent situation. Brianna Cass, a Northwest student who attended the class, says she hopes to become a better advocate.
No one deserves to be treated disrespectfully or be harmed in any way whatsoever, so we need to be proactive and better ourselves so that we can educate those in our communities and in our lives so that we can stop that kind of stuff from happening.
Northwest will hold more certification training classes later in the year. Reporting for Channel 8 News, I'm Audrey Chappelle.
Thanks, Audrey.
When we come back, we'll take a look at your Northwest event report. Don't go away. Welcome back to Channel 8 News. I'm Anastasia Tuttle.
And I'm Alex Sanchez.
On Monday, September 25th from 10 to 11 a.m., Lee Ann Blazer, a senior financial service representative at Citizen Bank and Trust, is holding a session on how to save a little money at a time. This will be held at the Student Union 3rd Room Floor Tower View Dining Room.
On Tuesday, September 26th, an informational session will be held for students who wish to learn more about the Missouri Legislative Internship Program for Spring 2018. This takes place in the Union Meeting Room D from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m.
On Tuesday, September 26th from 7 to 9 p.m. in the Charles Johnson Theater, SAC will host Kate Lambert. Lambert is a British model, fashion designer, and entrepreneur. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and seats are available on first-come, first-served basis.
On Wednesday, September 27th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., a session will be held by Casey Talent, who is a PhD psychologist. This session covers eating disorders on campus. Participants will learn more about recognizing the signs and symptoms of eating disorders, dispelling common myths of eating disorders, and assessing for risk levels, and more.
On Thursday, September 28th from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., Career Services present a panel of rural employers to provide need to those in search for career day success. From 10:30 to 11:30 a.m., the employers will be giving their career day tips. From 1 to 3 p.m., the employers will give critiques on resumes. This event will be held in the union's third room floor ballroom.
On Thursday, September 28th from 8 to 10 p.m., SAG will be hosting a late-night drive-in movie in the Cricket parking lot.
On Friday, September 29th from 7 to 9 p.m., SAC will be hosting a tie-dye event in the Student Union third floor ballroom.
That's all for your Northwest Event Report. When we come back, we will take a look at more recent news and events. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Channel 8 News. I'm Alex Sanchez.
And I'm Anastasia Tuttle.
The Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said Monday that America would pay a high price if President Donald Trump goes with his threats to scrap the Iran nuclear deal. Trump called the deal one of the worst deals I have ever seen. Trump promised the U.S. is not going to stand for what Iran is doing, since Trump says that Iran has violated different elements of the deal.
Iranian television Saturday showed the launch of a new medium-range ballistic missile, the Khorramshahr, just days after U.S. President Donald Trump warned that Iran's missile program could lead him to scrap the 2015 nuclear deal negotiated by the Obama administration. State media quoted the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's aerospace division as saying the missile, the Khorramshahr, has a range of 2,000 kilometers, or about 1,250 miles, and is capable of carrying multiple warheads. A missile with such a range could reach Israel as well as U.S. military bases in the Middle East. It's important to note, however, that Iran in the past has launched missiles with a greater range. Iran insists that its missile program is strictly for defensive purposes and that its missiles are not designed to carry nuclear warheads. Significantly, its missile program is not covered by the 2015 nuclear deal, which was negotiated with the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, plus Germany. President Trump, who has repeatedly threatened to scrap the nuclear deal in the past, has warned that he believes that Iran in the future could fit its missiles with nuclear warheads. Responding to the American president, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, speaking at the UN General Assembly, said in his words, "It will be a great pity if this agreement were to be destroyed by rogue newcomers to world politics." I'm Ben Wiedemann, CNN, reporting from Tokyo.
President Trump addresses the United Nations regarding reform, saying we seek a United Nations that regains the trust of the people from around the world. CNN reports.
Hurricane Maria has grown in strength as it took aim at Puerto Rico and islands left in ruins by Hurricane Irma. Maria has intensified to a Category 3 hurricane with winds at 120 miles per hour. The hurricane has nearly doubled in strength over the past 24 hours and is expected to keep growing before it hits land. For the first time in 85 years, Puerto Rico is expected to suffer a direct landfall from a Category 4 hurricane. Puerto Rico's governor has declared a state of emergency before the hurricane hit land.
What's it been like watching all of this from the sky, doing the tour around your island?
Well, it's been tough. You know, the devastation is vast. We're going to have to rebuild, but our people are resilient, and I am banking on their spirit, on their will to recognize that these are tough times, that we're in an emergency, but that we're going to stabilize it, rebuild, and come back stronger than ever.
Any message for those back home trying to get in touch with their family members? We know communication has just been so desperate.
Yeah, well, my message is I understand the urgency. I understand the anxiety. I couldn't reach my parents for 2 days. But this was something that we had anticipated. A Category 5 hurricane is no slouch. It essentially wiped out all of the telecommunications. We're trying to reestablish them. We're trying to use alternate means so that you can communicate with your loved ones, and we won't rest until all of those loved ones in the diaspora or anywhere in Puerto Rico can find a way to communicate with those over here.
A Georgia Tech student was fatally shot last Saturday night. Police responded to a call about a suspicious person on campus. The officers encountered Scout Schultz outside of a door. They said he was barefoot and in the middle of a mental breakdown. Cell phone video shows the officers repeatedly yelling at the man to put down the knife. When the man stepped forward, an officer opened fire. The lawyer representing the family accused of the officer of overreacting to the circumstances. Evidence shows that Schultz was the caller. 3 suicide notes were found in the student's dorm room. The circumstances of Schultz's death prompted calls from campus advocacy groups for more counseling and mental health resources on campus.
Doctors are warning parents and children about the risk of playing with a Nerf gun. One serious risk is getting hit in the eyes. Children have come into emergency rooms more recently of cases about being shot in the eyes by these popular toys. One of the cases was with an 11-year-old boy who suffered from inflammation, damage to the outer retinal layers of the eye, as well as his eye bleeding. Senior Vice President from Global Communications for Hasbro, Julie Duffy, said that Nerf products are designed based on years of consumer insights and research. They undergo reviews and testings to assure that they are safe and fun to play with. Duffy urges parents to read product packaging and note the age recommendations before buying.
Protesters are back in the streets in St. Louis. They are angry over the white police officer on trial for murder in the shooting death of a black man, Anthony Smith. For more than 120 people were arrested Sunday as protesters attacked police, broke windows, and flipped over trash cans. The protesters became peaceful on Monday when they locked arms a few blocks from the site of the incident. This case actually occurred almost 3 years ago before the Ferguson incident. The unrest in Ferguson renewed interest in this case. In this case, Officer Stockley witnessed a suspected drug transaction involving Smith. Stockley said Smith backed into the police SUV twice and sped away. After Smith crashed, Officer Stockley feared for his safety and discharged his firearm, striking Smith in the chest and killing him. Officer Stockley entered Smith's car to find the weapon Smith was hiding. Forensic analysis revealed that Stockley's DNA was the only DNA present on the gun that belonged to Smith. Stockley had opted for a bench trial in which the judge decided the verdict instead of a jury.
Country music star Kenny Chesney airlifted 2 boys from the U.S. Virgin Islands after Hurricane Irma. Our CNN affiliate Sarah Sidner reports.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week.
For more information on stories that matter to you, like us on Facebook at /Watch Channel 8 News or follow us on Twitter at KNWT 8 News.
KXTV Bearcat Coaches Show is up next. From all of us at Channel 8 News, I'm Anastasia Tuttle.
And I'm Alex Sanchez. Have a good night.